Hi, Luna Bear. I'm excited to have you with me today as I film. Hi guys, so today is Monday, the start of another reading vlog, and this week's vlog is going to be for the entirety of the week. My goal for this week, which is way too ambitious, but I'm going for it anyway, which is to read 7 books in 7 days. This month, I am hosting a readathon all about mythological creatures and animal companions. You can hop in and you can still participate in the last week of March if you're interested, so I'll have the announcement video with all the details in the description bar. But either way, I really want to push myself this particular week. It's the week of my birthday. I'm gonna have a little bit more time, and this whole month I've been trying to kind of cut back on other things and just kind of enjoy reading. I do have some stuff in my personal life to take care of, so that's contributing to not posting as often, but either way, I'm just really excited to be reading, and I want to push myself for this readathon. So I'm going to take you through the readathon books for this week. I am cheating a little bit because one of the books I'm roughly 100 pages into, and also a lot of the books I've picked are a little on the shorter side. But either way, they're books on my TBR, so let me show you what those are. First up, this is my most anticipated release of this year. I am working with Penguin Teen for this video, and they so kindly sent me Flamefall. You all know that I would not shut up about Fireborn, which I read last year. Oh my gosh, did I love that book. I have some friends that have read it for my birthday, and they've loved it, which has made me so excited. I cannot wait to start this. I have just been itching to start it, but I was like, I'm gonna wait till it's a little closer to the release date so that I'm not talking about it so long before you all can pick it up too. But by the time this video goes up, this will be available so that you can pick it up too. I can't wait. But either way, if you don't know what Fireborn is about, it is kind of a Russian Revolution inspired fantasy story. There are dragons in the book. We follow 2 different characters who are trying to become dragon riders for this new government, and they come from very different backgrounds. One of them is an Anastasia-like character, and nobody knows that they were a part of the ruling family that was overthrown. The other character was an orphan whose family was killed by the other character's family back when that family used to rule. These 2 found each other in an orphanage, became really good friends, and there's so much character examination. There's so much examination of trauma, all while examining this new form of government, which may or may not be better than the former government. Book 1's ending was kind of a hint devastating because of things I can't say, but oh my gosh, I've been so excited. Next up is the one that I am cheating a little bit with because I have read roughly 100 pages. That would be The Bone Shard Daughter. This is an adult fantasy story that is multiple point of view, and we follow a girl who has lost her memories. She's the daughter of the current emperor, and he's really pushing her to get her memories back. She has no idea what she's supposed to do, how to get these memories back. She doesn't know why she lost her memories in the first place, but she really wants to fulfill this task that her father has given her because she's next in line for the throne. If she does not do a good enough job of remembering what she's supposed to remember, there's this foster sibling of hers who might end up being put on the throne instead, but she's kind of at competition with him. There's definitely a mysterious element going on, and the magic is really fascinating. It has to do with there are beings that are kind of put together through magic, and they are given commands similar to Foundry Side, if you've read that, except for rather than objects, they're almost more like beings. And so she's determined to figure out the secrets of this magic. Meanwhile, we follow a lot of other characters, and we're kind of not sure how they come together right now, but my favorite of the others is Jovis. I love this character. There's an animal companion element to this that I think is adorable currently. The rest I'm not as familiar with because I have neither started them or read a first book before, so I'm not going to go into detail with these as much currently. I will update you as I'm reading them, but the other ones would be the Gilded Ones, Labyrinth Loss, Alatsue, and the Bone Ships. That's only 6 books currently. I'm going to play the 7th one by ear and see what I'm in the mood for to see if I even am able to get through these 6. This is the plan so far though, so I will update you as I continue reading them. Where is Luna? Okay. Hello, cutie. Luna is currently shedding a lot. So we have to vacuum basically every day, every other day. Only happens a couple times a year though, so it's not that bad, but it ends up looking like she killed a chicken or destroyed a pillow. Huh, Luna? Look at your little foxtail. Yeah, such a cutie. Boop. You sleepy? Oh, who doesn't love pets? Boop. Okay, I'll leave you be. It is later in the day. I am back. I have finished The Bone Shard Daughter, and I really liked this. I felt like for a long time the story, you kind of just were along for the ride because there are so many different point of views and you're really not sure what's going on, and the author's way of delivering information to you is more organic. It's not really an info dump or exposition. Let me explain everything to you. And as a result, it takes a while to even know what's happening. You don't know much about the characters, so it takes time. But I really like that kind of start, even though it means that it'll take a while before you're connected. But I definitely started to become connected to the characters, and I thought I knew the twists, but there were quite a few reveals that I was like, what? And I really, really, really enjoyed them. So highly recommend. It was very unique. I haven't read a fantasy book quite like this. There are almost sci-fi elements in the questions that get brought up, and then also elements that I feel like are pulling from the horror genre. It was really cool, and it's not super dense, even though the magic system, I think, has room to have a lot of complexity to it. But either way, I really enjoyed this. Very different from a lot of everything else I've picked up, so highly recommend. Also, even though I said I was going to start Flamefall, I don't have the audiobook for Flamefall, so I started listening to the Gilded Ones, and I've listened to a little mix of both, about 100 pages of this one so far. The beginning is very gripping. We follow a character who all she wants is she has to go through the ceremony, and she wants to be proven as pure through this ceremony so that she can just live a normal life, because she's a little bit of an outcast in her society, and things go wrong. Her world is flipped upside down. It's actually really tragic, and the setting is very oppressive of women in particular, but also there's a lot of different peoples and cultures, and so in her culture she was viewed a certain way, but the world is opening up in those first 100 pages, so I'm really excited to see how that changes. The beginning is strong. I really, really, really like this start. It is single point of view, which is kind of a nice change after the Bone Shard Daughter, but I'm really connected to this character and I'm really rooting for her, and I just want her to have a nice life and friends and have good things for her, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Today is my birthday. The hubby and I are in our jammies making dinner. Carrots. Luna is chewing on an ice cube. Earlier today I set up a little outdoor workspace where I just took like these old chairs and then worked outside because the internet only really works. Hold on. Luna, did you lose your ice cube? The internet only really works up in this front area, so I really want to sit outside.
Works well up in this front
area.
Okay. It works other places.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, thank you for the correction. Anyway, I wanted to sit outside because it was lovely outside, and now we're making dinner. Finishing out birthday dinner. My birthday, not his. I've finished eating. I had my, of course, classic ice. Sean had his bubbly. Luna was chewing on her own number twos, which was gross. She's not anymore. That was icky, Luna. I didn't like it. Hello, it is Saturday now. I had a lovely birthday. Thank you everybody for all of the really nice birthday messages, but I just finished doing a little fun hangout with a few other wonderful booktubers, Bookborn, QNTG, specifically the TG half of QNTG, and then Library of Alexandria. So I'll have that video and all of their channels linked. Definitely check them out. It was so much fun. But anyway, jumping into the books and some updates. So I finished The Gilded Ones, And while I really, really liked that beginning so much, it was so tragic and it was so dark and the themes were really heavy, I did not really love the rest of the story. So the setup, we have a very oppressive society, specifically toward women, extremely oppressive. They're not supposed to really go anywhere without a male accompanying them. And then if they do go places alone, it's almost kind of their own fault if something bad happens to them. And in general, their roles are pretty much just to be there for men, to be wives, to be mothers, and they're not really allowed much of their own freedom for anything. So I thought the way that the author set all of this up was extremely heartbreaking. Like I said before, I found my heart breaking for this main character. I just wanted happiness for her, even though I knew that wasn't what was in store. But the middle chunk of the book is a lot of sort of training. I think that the themes of women banding together, discovering their own agency are really strong, but I'm not the biggest fan of essentially a training montage, which is kind of what we got. And then at the end, the last chunk, we get a little bit of a reveal, and that reveal, for me, almost negated the middle chunk. For spoiler reasons, I can't really go into details, but there was something that is revealed to our main character and her role in society, I'll say. And a little bit, I just kept wondering, why didn't you tell us this before? And it did make the last chunk of the book feel very quick. Also, the romance that is in the story, it's not overtaking the plot, but I definitely felt like it was not particularly developed, or at least to my liking, and I just felt a little bit like they sort of just happened. I don't know. I just think this book had a lot of really important things, but perhaps was a little bit younger. I love both young adult and adult fantasy, but there are some young adult books that feel a little young, and I don't think that that is a bad thing. It just isn't always for me. So while I think that this has some very heavy themes, and I think that those themes are explored in a way that are going to be fantastic for younger audiences, and definitely older audiences can relate, I just don't know that it was my cup of tea. What totally was my cup of tea? Flamefall. It was so good. It was more than I was hoping for, which I didn't even think was possible. That first book was so good. And I was pretty sure I was going to like the sequel. I really liked a lot of the things Rosaria Munda did in the first one. And then the second one, right away, I was like, oh shoot, things are going down. And then I thought I knew where things were going, and then things would just get way worse than I was expecting. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, okay, well, I think this is where it's going now. And oh my gosh, that's terrible. And then it would get even worse, and I loved it. I just love how much Rosaria Munda is not afraid of diving into the very violent nature of revolutions. It's like reading a novelization of a real revolution. She writes the political elements so well. She writes the reactions of the population in such a realistic way. She shows you different point of views and the way that the characters have to try and decide what they align themselves with in a situation where the consequences are so extreme. It is just so edge of your seat. I stayed up so late reading this book. It was so good. If you like political fantasy, I highly recommend this series. And I know, like I was just saying, I know, completely understand that certain age ranges aren't for everybody, and a lot of people are really hesitant toward YA fantasy. And I just think that even if you typically don't pick up YA, that you should check out this series. It is so good. And also, I just want to say, Rosaria Munda has a political theory degree from Princeton. She knows her stuff, and it shows. So good. So good. The end also, I mean, the whole book is such high stakes, but the very end, I could just feel, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think that things are going to go very well. And I literally got a stomach ache. I started to feel sick. I was so worried. And I don't know whether I should thank the author for that or be upset with her, because she definitely hurt my tummy. But I also was totally for it. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna get a stomachache, I would rather it be because my emotions are so all over the place reading a book than like food poisoning or something. So this book, just so good. From there, I have picked up Labyrinth Lost. I'm only about 75 pages into that one. So far, I'm loving the Latin inspirations, and I definitely really appreciate how easy it is to connect with the character and the story. It's written in a way that it just feels like it's bringing you along. It doesn't feel like it's keeping you in the dark, which is a little different than the Bone Shard Daughter, but not in a way where I'm being told everything and therefore it's exposition heavy. It just, the way things are laid out, it's just very clear and crisp. So I'm enjoying it so far. It may end up being a little bit young the way the Gilded Ones was for me, but I will update you as I keep reading it. And then of course I have a few other books that I still need to get to. It's Saturday night, which means I have Sunday and Monday left. So I'm doing okay when it comes to how many books I finished so far, but I'm definitely gonna have to hustle the rest of this weekend.
Look at Nebier. You're so cute in your bed. Look at all of your fur everywhere, though. But it doesn't matter because you're just so cute. Oh, you want a belly rub? You want a belly rub? Oh, no, don't lick me after you were eating your number 2 is icky. No. I guess you can gnaw on your bed. That's a decent alternative. I don't know what you expect. I can't pet you from over here. Oh, you're very cute and you know it. You know putting your head on things makes you even cuter.
We're officially at the end of the 7 days. I completed 6 of the 7 books and I started the 7th one. I'll go over the remaining ones that I haven't discussed yet. So we have Labyrinth Loss, which I mentioned enjoying the beginning, but I was a little unsure of whether I was going to end up really loving it because it did feel a little bit young and a little bit familiar, which there's nothing wrong with, but I think that held true for me. At the end of the story, there were a few things that I thought were clever and that were a little bit of a twist on what I was expecting. So we follow a character who her family are brujas and brujos, and she is supposed to kind of get her magic and have this ceremony, but she doesn't want her magic, and she decides she's going to tweak the ceremony so that it results in her losing her magic because she thinks her magic is dangerous to her and her family, and then things go wrong and they end up in this other area, this kind of magical place. Apparently this has been compared a little bit to Alice in Wonderland. It actually reminded me a little bit of an Enchantment of Ravens, although it's less romance heavy, and what little romance there is, I feel like it's a little bit of a twist on your expectations. It might not seem like that when you're first reading it, but as it progresses, I don't want to say too much, but it definitely wasn't what I was expecting. So I did enjoy that. And it is very much Latin inspired, and I really liked seeing those influences in the story. But it was a slightly familiar story to me, and I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought the pacing was really good. I thought that the use of familiar things is going to make this very cozy and fun for anybody who is wanting to pick up something like this. The end definitely made me intrigued about the sequels, although I don't know if I'll be personally wanting to pick them up. But I just think this is a great one for, not, again, I know I keep saying this, nothing wrong with books being written for a younger audience. It doesn't make them lesser. I just think that this one is going to be something that younger audiences are going to probably really enjoy. But if you're somebody who's read a fair amount of YA, I don't know if it's going to do too many things different for you, but still a fun time, and I'm glad I read it. Similar things for the youthfulness of the story are true of this next one, which would be Alatsue. So I've seen some people call this young adult, and I've seen some people call it middle grade. It was sold in the young adult section at my bookstore, and so I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. But in my opinion, it is definitely middle grade with some heavier themes and a little bit more violence and language language sprinkled in here and there. There's also some elements to it that are actually kind of creepy and a little bit scary. So it is a little bit on the more mature end of middle grade, but I would categorize it as middle grade. But either way, this is kind of a mystery story at its core, a murder mystery. Our main character, Ellie, or Alatsue, finds out that a relative has died, and then that relative's spirit visits her and tells her that they were murdered because it looks like they died in a car accident. And so our main character, they know who the murderer is, and they are determined to figure out what happened and to get to the bottom of it, and then make this person have to face the consequences of murdering their family member. And they have a friend that kind of helps them with things. There are parents in the story that are actually nice. They have a good relationship with our main character, which I really liked seeing. But this one definitely did feel young to me, and I haven't read middle grade in a long time, but when I do occasionally pick it up, it's not something I find myself personally enjoying. For example, I didn't love Percy Jackson, but I don't think Percy Jackson is a terrible book. It's just younger, and this one had so many awesome elements to it that if you enjoy middle grade, or if you enjoy younger toned young adult, I think that you'll really like this. There is a lot of Native American elements that are woven into the story, and I loved that aspect of it. Also, the illustrator, I feel, deserves some recognition, because before each chapter there are these beautiful illustrations. They're absolutely gorgeous. Here is another beautiful illustration. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I loved that in the story. I think there's a lot of lore in the book as well, and there's an incorporation of other creatures, like there are vampires in the story, there are mention of fae, fairies. There's just a lot to it that I thought was really interesting, very cool, and I really appreciated that we are getting a story that isn't just European fantasy centered. I had said before that I didn't know what the 7th book was going to be. I decided to pick up a nonfiction, not even the nonfiction that was scheduled for this month, but I decided to pick up Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. It was one of the nonfiction books I was hoping to read this year, and I believe it may have been the number 1 pick that all of you had when I asked you which one do you want me to read. I think it was between that and Educated. But either way, picked up Born a Crime, loved it, read it in one sitting. Trevor Noah's mother is officially one of my heroes in life. I just think that this woman is incredible, and a lot of his accounts of growing up in the way he did illustrates what a powerful, amazing woman she was. And it just gives you a lot of insight into other experiences. I think that he was very, it sounds kind of cheesy to say, it was like very raw and open. I mean, that's the whole purpose of writing a memoir. But it was, and I really enjoyed seeing not only his experiences and him sharing what he went through growing up, but also he recognizes a lot of the times how sometimes him being a person who is of different races, he is half white, half black, and where he grew up, they have kind of insane segregation. And so there were times in his life that was obviously very difficult for him and his family. He talks about how at one point his mother would have a woman who was also a person of mixed race walking next to him, so it looked like it was her child, and she would walk behind because she is black. And it was illegal for somebody who is black to have a child with somebody who is white. So she would walk behind them so she looked like the maid. I mean, just things like that. While he has certain circumstances that are definitely working against him, he also highlights when there are times that he kind of was elevated or had a better chance at something because he was mixed race. And he is open about, I was totally fine with the fact that the other people in my family were the ones that would get in trouble and I wouldn't because I'm part white, and so they thought they couldn't hurt me and things like that. It's just very open, very honest. I highly recommend everybody read this book. I'd heard a lot of people say that. I definitely agree. I just think that books like this are great at just opening your eyes to a lot of different things. The 7th book, the one I have started, is The Bone Ships. I've only read a chapter. That first chapter was confusing. I don't know what's going on. I hope the writing style gets a little clearer because I did not like the first chapter, but I'm hoping that it gets focused a little bit as we go. So I don't have a whole lot to say for this. It is the buddy read for this month. So hopefully we don't have another book that I don't absolutely love. I'm hoping I start to like it more as I read it more, but we will eventually have a live show up for this one, so you'll be hearing in-depth thoughts for it. If anything sounds interesting, I'll have it linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Penguin Teen, for sponsoring this video. Yay, Flamefall! It is officially out now, so check out Fireborn and Flamefall if you haven't already. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.